Hello everyone. We're back here on Gelvin Valley for another episode as we continue baling and looking at this beautiful countryside here. I just finished field number 22. This is one of our newer fields, so I'm going to head over to one of our existing fields that we had, kind of take to the road and hopefully not hit anything on the way over. I think we'll zip across the blacktop real quick. That's something interesting about this map, the number of side roads and everything that, it's something that seems like it could be overdone, but in every case on here that I'm aware of, it just works, and it makes the map feel bigger. If the thing is crisscrossed with too many roads, it feels like it's so easy to get around that it shrinks the size of the map, but this one here, I don't think it has that effect. Watch out for traffic. Alright, our next field here. Get it going. It's a little field. I almost have half a notion to sell it just to get some additional cash flow in the house. It isn't a large field, and it's kind of a pain to get in and out of. But, hey, we harvested a little crop off of it. I'll take it. We need everything we can get at this point when we're this far in the hole. In the last video, kind of shared about a map that I was working on called Glen Ellie, and it asked a question. The others here may have done a little of their own modding, and what kind of a modding junk pile, I think I called it, or whatever it is. You've had to shelve ideas because you couldn't get to them, or maybe didn't have the skills, or it would take too long to build them, whatever. Hopefully some people will comment on that. I'm kind of interested to see what people will say, if they do. But I'm also curious too, and I can't remember if I asked this. I think about this game, or this particular session on Gelvin Valley here. I guess one thing I've never done is walk everybody through the list of mods that I'm using. I know my friend Atomic 67, in the past, he would literally publish a list of the mods he was using when he was playing it, which was really cool, because as you watched his videos and you say, oh, that's a neat mod, I wonder where he got it, and what all the specs are and that kind of thing. You could go to, I think he had it in Google Sheets or whatever, and see exactly where he got it, and that kind of thing. It was really handy. And at some point, I think he started removing it from his videos. I think he said some people were basically just using him for the mods, and just kind of taking advantage of him and documenting all that, which obviously takes a ton of time. I don't think I've ever documented mods, the ones that I have on my list, or attempted to catalog exactly where I got them, which can be pretty critical. You can Google pretty much any mod, including this map, but you never know if the site you get it from is going to feed you a virus as you try to download it, or you don't know if the version is the same. They may say it's the same version, but how do you know until you download it a lot of times? I think we've all probably encountered the situation where you download something assuming it's for FarmSim 15, and it turns out it's for FarmSim 13, or for 17, or something else. So to have a resource like that with all your mods that you're using, and someone telling you where all to find it, clickable Google Sheets, pretty handy reference, but I certainly understand why he would take that down if people are just using that and not listening to his videos. And frankly, a lot of the mods that I have in my modding folder, you can't even find them online, because you can maybe find something similar. We'll take the combine for example. I did a whole bunch of surgery to it, if you will, fixing various things, changing the dirt maps. Well, I can't release it to the public, all the changes that I did. I mean, I could. I don't think that'd be ethical. It isn't my mod. So the only one that gets to have it is on my own computer, and there it sits. So I could put a link to it, maybe, but it wouldn't be the same version that I have. So, and then there's other mods on there too that just have never been released to the public and never will be. And some of it isn't. I mean, I wouldn't particularly care if the public had it. It's just, this is an old game, and I don't want to go through all the effort it would take to polish it up and make sure it works exactly how it's intended in all cases. It's one thing if it pops an error or something and I see it in here and I can deal with it, but when you send it out to the public, maybe the person that's using it may not know how to deal with it. It may screw up his game, and I don't want to do that to anybody. So I have a lot of open folders kind of in my mods folder, and they're open because I periodically go in and tweak something. I think most of us know most mods are in zip files, so I don't really zip things up until I'm sure I'm done doing everything, every bit of damage that I think I can do, to a particular mod. Woo! I don't mean to play chicken with these cars. I just don't like waiting for them to get on the stick and move, so we'll head on down to the pasture and kind of coming full circle on the map, getting all the baling done. Although I don't think we'll be done baling by the time we get through this episode. But is there anybody else out there who documents their mods? To remember where they get them from, or are you also a tweaker of it too, kind of like I am? It just seems like there are things. Oh, there's our trusty sheep. Look at that. Sitting in the middle of the road. Doesn't know any better to get out of the middle of the road. I guess that's one thing the traffic on here won't do. It may push us around, but it won't run over our sheep and leave just a batch of mutton. Alright, let me get ready to get back into the field here. This is actually, I think, intended to be a cow pasture. Yeah, I think so. And I all of a sudden discovered that we had this, and at the moment I don't have any cattle on it. And frankly, even if I did, I could still get away with doing what I'm doing right here. Although I think if I ever do have cattle, I'm going to replant it to grass, because this is intended as a pasture, not as an arable field. But I figured as long as I didn't have cows on it, I could come over here and put a crop on it and try to make some money. And money is hard to come by. But we're working on that, making bale after bale. That was kind of a rough area we just went through. Did I look at that right? Is that kind of, see, I backed up. I don't see, maybe my tire's down in the dip, or maybe it was right here. There's something there. I'll get back in. Yeah, you can kind of see the ground undulates under there a little bit. I think this pasture is pretty rough, so, which makes sense. Lots of pastures in real life are rough. When I see that silly bar across the top of my screen again, and that reminds me I want to kind of update a setting at some point in here, see if I can get rid of it. I got a Lone Oak series going in Farm Sim 17, and I just don't have that trouble on there. And I think it has something to do, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but it has something to do with the refresh rate of the game versus the refresh rate of the monitor. So if the game is able to produce a higher frame per second than the monitor is able to play, then the monitor's not going to be able to keep up, so it's going to shear the screen a little bit. At least that's what I'm speculating as I've kind of read up on it. I don't even know the technical term of it, so I'll maybe know it when I see it. If I look in the options, I just kind of forgot about it. So all these silly things we have to contend with when you don't have an all-powerful computer or monitor, and I surely don't. Something that would be interesting to me is, and maybe I asked this on another video, I can't remember, what mods are indispensable to you when you play it? I don't care which version it is. It probably changes a little bit depending on the version. What mods must you have in hand, before tackling the map or just in your general gameplay. As much as some of you all maybe have even laughed at me as I try to wrestle with course play in here and get it to help me out, because there's only one of me and there's extra work to do. To me, course play is pretty well indispensable, and I find the mods that I consider indispensable, they tend to be scripts, I think, for the most part. you know and I wouldn't think that a map would be an indispensable mod, because what if you're playing in a different map? I mean, it isn't something that works across all, but it maybe is a particular type of tractor, that you like, or combine, or whatever, something that you just have to have, because it's indispensable to your style of play. Maybe for some people it's a money cheat, and personally, I mean, they call it a cheat for a reason. I understand why people use it. Sometimes people don't want to, they know they can do it given enough time, but they don't want to take a whole ton of time slogging it out until they earn a few dollars here, a few dollars there, and then eventually get wealthy enough to buy better equipment and all that jazz. So they would rather just give themselves a bunch of money and be done with it so they can, move on. And I understand that. I mean, that's a style of play. I tend to like the battle and the fight, to get to better equipment. Hence the severely negative cash balance that everybody sees in here. I must be a horrible accountant to be that much in arrears on all my bills and whatnot, but it's all part of the fight to me. So one of the mods I do not have in my mods folder is a money cheat. So, as if you hardly need it. Once you know XML coding a little bit, know your way around Notepad++, text editor, you really don't even hardly need a money cheat anyways. If you want to give yourself money, you can do it easily just by editing the XML kind of after particular gameplay. So let's see, I guess I finished around. Maybe I'll just start in here. I gotta be careful. I think I've explained some time ago, my play style is I tend to be out of cab. That makes it easier to see things, easier to back up, and kind of allows excuse me, allows for enjoying the map. You can see all this lovely scenery much easier than if you're inside here. You just don't get to see it as easily, at least in my opinion. So I tend to play outside the tractor, but my friend is teaching me a new word called vertigo, and I think I mess with it whenever I go, wave the camera around too much. Maybe it makes people dizzy. And it's kind of like, I never really thought about that. I guess, obviously, because I've never done any YouTubing. But if someone else has to watch what you do, you could probably get pretty dizzy if you gotta, be the one that follows all that. So I've been trying to be more careful. He said, don't think about it too hard or it'll just get worse. So, oh dear me. So hopefully I'm not making anybody too overly dizzy by that. It's kind of like riding in a car with someone else when they're driving, and when it's not your hand on the wheel, it's not your hand on the brakes or the accelerator. You don't know kind of when to anticipate when those things are going to happen, so you can get caught off guard, and that's kind of how car sickness happens, especially if you're reading something at the moment or looking down at your cell phone. So it must be kind of similar to that in here. It doesn't bother me at all because obviously I'm the one moving it, so I know exactly when it's going to happen. But my apologies to any others if I've caused you to vomit uncontrollably all over your keyboard as you listen into this. Who would have known that that would be a danger of a humble farming simulator game? And we almost already have this field licked. Like I say, this is going a whole lot quicker than I thought it was, so we're probably even today gonna get all of these bales literally hauled and sold, and I'm gonna be tickled pink to do that. Then we'll see kind of where we're at and how long we have to wait for the prices of grain to rise before we can get out of this hole that we're in financially at the moment. And maybe the long story short on it is because I think in this region there's a lot of cattle raised, and I think that kind of was the point of the mapper Wild Wild West. He emulated a particular region, and I think in this region of the world there's a lot of animal husbandry, but there isn't a lot of arable farming. Or any arable farming that there is dedicated for or used by the animals that they raise. So maybe what I need to do is bite the bullet and learn how to use like the hog fattening part, the beef fattening, get some animals in there so that they reproduce and you can haul them to market. Not sure what kind of prices come out of that, but maybe it's better finances than is the arable farming I've been trying to do. Because most of my play of farming sim has been on the arable side. I can't say I'm a huge animal person, so I've tended to stick more to crops. They don't talk back. I know growing up we always had a few animals around, chickens, cattle, dogs, cats, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, dealing with cattle, I mean, that could be a scary thing sometime. You can get your foot crushed or worse, just working around them. So maybe it's kind of memories of that that tends to push me more towards the arable side. Maybe I'll grab this little schnibbly bit here before cutting back the other way. Beeping incessantly. I'm looking, it looks like I'm even running out of sauce. I only have 34 liters left, so maybe what I'll do when I'm done with this field, I'm going to swing by our main farm over here. Well, I say it's our main farm. We really have turned the other place kind of into our main farm because it's more centrally located. But I'll maybe swing it over here, down by where our puppy lives. The one we hear. Oh! That wasn't supposed to happen. Doesn't look like it damaged me too much. But this is where our dog is, and I think he's straight ahead. Can we see him a little better? There he is. Yeah, this is one we hear barking. So I'm just gonna fill up. It's gonna cost me some money, but I'll just fill up with a little bit more fuel. Meanwhile, I'll open something for me to drink, give myself some fuel. Mm. Now to keep from tipping this thing over on my desk. Maybe just head down through the farm. I don't think there's anything else over here, right? Did a pasture. So I think I'm gonna head to field 38. I don't even know if I use the most workable pattern to cover my fields, the most efficient approach. You all maybe would do it a little bit differently. I gotta figure out some way to do it. Over the river and through the woods. There's no grandma's house to go to. Drive to do to get to this one. I have a few courses set up to where, I think I can drive from the main farm down here up to the store and back. So if I bought a new plow or something, I could go pick it up and I could send the tractor off and return it. But, it's kind of like we had, and I've got a number of courses to take grain to market straight from the field. We were just harvesting not that long ago, so you could see some of those, or to storage. It's the traffic on here that can get you in trouble and, tie up your tractor somehow. And so I maybe could set up a course from way over there to over here, but given what I have going on in the farm right now, I just will drive it over here versus putting it on a course and then just sitting here and watching it do, what it does. Okay, oh boy, I remember this field. This is one of our new fields, and wow, was it a pain in the patoodle. I tell you what, the combine tried to escape the field I don't know how many times. Through the fence, I had all kinds of resets. So I'm hoping, since I'm going to be the one doing the baling instead of relying on auto combine or course play, I'm hoping we have a little better results. So we'll see. We'll get our baling going here and start taking a crack at the field. First bale. That's maybe a mod I should put in here. I know it's out there, the bale counter. And maybe someone in the comments, if you've used it before, would know how it works. I guess I've shied away from it because, and there's probably a way to do it. I just need to research it. I would like to count bales, say, for a particular harvest. Kind of like how we've gone field to field doing the bales here. I would kind of like to know, well, how many bales do I have in total? And then the ability to reset it to 0, so that next year, I can make the count all over again. And maybe there is a way to do that reset. I don't know. But if it counts it up this harvest, and then in next harvest it counts it all up again and dumps it on top of it, well, yeah. It's kind of like the bushel counter. I've heard there's combines that have, you count up the bushels of product, but frankly, I'd be more interested on yield per field, especially if, we ever start using the soil mod in this map, just to kind of get a picture of what kind of results field by field you can get. I suppose that's kind of the accountant coming out of me, thinking about this, but I know there's a mod out there for that too. trying to think, what other mods do I have? I know I've shown another one periodically. Let me just get it going. See that one up there, the orange? We have 16 hours, 49 minutes of sun. Then we're going to get a little bit of fog. I kind of just like the precision of knowing how long I have. You know, if there is a rain coming, down to the minute, and I know you can't hardly do this in real life, but how long do I have to get the, finish combining, finish doing whatever I'm doing to get out of the rain? I just kind of like having that perspective. Oh boy, this is steep. And by all rights, these bales should be rolling down the hill, but it tickles me that they are just staying put. What good bales. There's an example. There's a mod to me that was indispensable on this map, which was to stop the bales in their tracks so they didn't roll anymore. So I think in one episode I showed some of the coding as to how I did it, so someone else can do it in another map if they're interested. Obviously that'll have side effects in other areas, I suppose. I think we see that every now and again when I run into a bale. They don't move very well, quite like the other ones, or roll out of the way. They kind of sometimes get put in different situations or whatever, where they don't behave quite like the bales. But I think it's worth it. I'd rather have them adhering to the hill. One more. I think for me another indispensable mod is one that we're going to be using shortly, to pick up all these bales, and that is an auto-loading trailer. Actually, I think in another episode I explained I have two versions, two different scripts, and it isn't so much the trailer per se, it's the script that is attached or affixed to the trailer that gets it to do what it's doing. So the trailer mod itself really is irrelevant. It's the script that is in there that gets it to pick up the bales automatically. Maybe I should spend some time, work on my front loader skills, but I guess to me it just seems more enjoyable to do other types of things within Farming Sim versus learn how to pick up the bales and learn the motor skills, with my fingers to pick those up using the keyboard controls. So I'll just pick them up with a push of a button. But to me, that's indispensable. Another one I guess would be the log trailer that auto picks up logs. There's a pretty clever script that once it was set up, I think it's been carried forward into other versions. It's pretty handy. Log handling, I did some of it, using like a front end loader, the tractor, or some other kind of loader, even in Farm Sim 15. It could be a little bit ticklish, but it could be done too. It seemed, for whatever reason, it seemed easier to me to handle logs than it did to handle bales. So, but still, I have an auto loader for both, and I'm glad to have them. And then there's mods that seem kind of innocuous, if you will. You don't hardly see the effects of them, but you still kind of like to have them there. And I can't remember if I have any in here. These would be ones, let me just look at the menu. This doesn't say it. Okay, yeah. At the bottom of the help menu, it says current day 7. Now, who cares what day we're on, but it tells me that I've been on this map 7 game days, and it just gives some idea of how long you've been playing the map, at least from the perspective of numbers of days. Now, obviously, when you load up your save game, it's going to tell you literally how many hours, minutes, and seconds, or whatever that you put into the map in playtime. But having it in terms of numbers of days, and that's just kind of a different perspective. Um, I don't know what I'd say. It's indispensable because I hardly ever look at it. It's kind of neat if you want to look at it. You know it's there. And there's other ones. I kind of remember this more. Maybe it was Farm Sim 11. I'm remembering one where this is just where the original coding or whatever with Giants, they hadn't fully fleshed it out, or maybe even they did it on purpose. Sometimes if you hired a worker, they wouldn't use seeds or fertilizer that you had in the tank, so they would just buy it on the spot and charge you for it. So you could get a mod that would force them to empty it out of the tank and then have to stop, before they would just take more. So you had to run someone out there to fill them up and that kind of thing. So, indispensable, maybe not. Highly visible, definitely not. But it does have, some kind of impact. And I know there's other players interested in, oops, I just need to close the door. Interested in photography, so there's particular mods out there that you can twist and turn the player camera to all sorts of different ways and angles, and so those are indispensable mods to them. And I think everybody knows by now I'm not a photographer just by looking at my thumbnails. My thumbnails wouldn't even be what they are if it wasn't for Atomic 67 graciously helping me on all that, so I really appreciate all that. He's been just a gem to help me so much. But there are quite a few tools out there for those that enjoy taking pictures in game and want to get just the perfect picture, perfect angle, however you call it. And there's mods to help them achieve that. So yeah, if anybody wants to share, I'd really enjoy hearing what your go-to mods are when you sit down to play the game, whether it's this version or any of the others. And it appears another whole half hour's gone by, so I think we're going to call the episode there. Thank you for taking time to stop by. Appreciate you, and hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're at. And take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.